All right. So I'm sure by now you're familiar with what LaTeX is. And today we're just going to get into the juice of why we are here so that everyone benefits maximally from it. And I'm going to be sharing my screen right away. Okay. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
You can see, I can see from here, you are visible.
Okay. So I'm sure by now you are seeing UX UI product design, right?
Yes, in purple.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, I want to officially welcome everyone again. So, just before we start, it would be nice to have our mics muted so that we do not get feedback and everyone benefits maximally from this masterclass. Um, so, mute your mic. Feel free to use the chat as much as you can because this is going to be an interactive section. So as we move on, there'll be questions that will be asked, and I would like to get people's feedback. If you want to speak, raise your hand, so it doesn't become rowdy. However, you can also reply or make comments in the chat. Also, as we move on, please jot your questions as we'll be taking questions later on this class. I see people's hands up. I don't know if it's a mistake. You can lower your hand if you do not want to speak. All right. So yeah, next slide. Okay, hi everyone. This is a brief introduction. My name is Samuel Aneme. I am a brand and product designer based in Lagos, Nigeria. I've had experience, 4+ years experience. I started doing this during COVID. So it is going to 5 years now. That was when I started product design. So when you hear the word product design or product designer, it also means UI UX. But I prefer to use product design, but they all mean the same thing. It's just semantics. So I've worked in industries around health tech, logistics, e-commerce, food and hospitality, and also fintech as well. My hobbies are movies. So if there's anyone in the house who likes movies, we're already friends because I like watching movies and then discussing some conspiracy theories around movies. And I also like food. If you have any recipe for any native rice or any intercontinental, please share it with me. I love food a lot. Yeah, so that's just a brief intro about me. If you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. Samuel Anime, you can connect with me and then you could always keep in touch with me. All right, so that's just about that. This is going to be a very straightforward slide. I like to think of it as a boring slide. It's not a slide with pictures and it's very straightforward. We have text, but then when we start discussing and after the class, we would get our hands dirty. We'll do a live demo of everything we've talked about so far so that you see how it works. So our agenda today is just to introduce all of you to UI UX or UX UI and also talk about understanding the users. We'll also talk about the US research basis and wireframing and prototype. So for people who did not, someone said didn't get the username, it is Samuel Aneme, Aneme on LinkedIn. All right. So so this is a question to the house now. You could just type in the chat. What do you think UX UI is? I'm sure this is not the first time you're hearing it, or for those who are just hearing about it, what do you think UX UI is? Okay, someone says user experience, user interface. Correct. Okay. Okay, don't worry. I would drop the links to my socials after we are done. with the class so we don't get distracted. Exactly. So UX means user experience and UI means user interface. Okay, I see we have some people that really knows what that is. So that is what UX UI is. So why is UX UI very important? You know, as
Yeah.
we
How many people can this thing contain?
who's speaking? Okay, okay, I think that's a mistake. All right. So um each day as we keep on going and advancing in life, people are building products every day by day. Now there are products for mobile devices, for tablets, you know, for virtual reality, you know. So UI UX is very important because you know it improves the user satisfaction and engagement, you know, because if you do not put priority to UI UX, when users use your product, they can get distracted, they are not satisfied, and then they can abandon your product. US UI is also important for business value because these products need to make money. As we see the likes of Meta, Twitter, now X, you know, they are always, their goal is to do what? To make money when it comes to the business side. So UX UI handles that very well. And then there's also reduced development costs. You know, because of the UI UX, it is very easy now for you, for companies to be able to get a picture of how their product should look, get the prototype, test it with users, even before they commission users or rather developers to build it. And that's a lot of money. So that's why UX UI is very important. And it's a clear distinction between good and bad UX. So I'm going to show you an example now of two websites. If you want, you can go through it on your own device. Let us see why UX UI is very, very important. First things, we are going to look at this very interesting website right here. It's called Agren, agren.net. I want us to look at two websites and then I would like to get your opinion on the difference between these two websites. The first is Agren and the next would be Best Buy. All right, so can you see this website? Very beautiful, right?
Far from it. Not really.
So this
This is a
Looks
very
like
scattered work.
newspaper.
No.
This job is very bad. A bad
you see,
job done.
so
It's a newspaper.
so it looks like a newspaper. This site actually is an e-commerce site where you can purchase gadgets, electronics. And it is so sad to see that this is an actual website and people are paying to renew the domain of this website every year. It's so sad to see. You know, once a user comes here, there's no UX and there's no UI being applied in this website at all. It is frustrating. Like if you see it, you even feel like they want to, it looks like a scammer's website where they just hack your system or your phone. Now, compare this website with what we have at Best Buy. I think someone's mic is unmuted. Please mute your mic, please. Moderators, please help me. So now compare this website with this website. Now, this website, how does it look compared to the former we just saw? Beautiful, right? Yes. You see that they are very good colors, placements of the products. There's very good call to action. You know, as you scroll through, you feel at ease. So user experience is how a product or a website makes the user feel. When I'm on this website, I feel calm. I can calm myself down. I can go through the products. I can make a purchase and have it delivered. However, if I'm on this website, I'm already frustrated. I am already angry. So do you see how UX UI affects the user? Do you see? So that is why it is very important for us to do what? Pay very good attention to what? UX and UI. Now, understanding users, the foundation of UX. That is the foundation of UX. You know, before any product is being pushed out, before you download it on your app store or on your phone, rather, that interface you are seeing, which is the UI, it just doesn't happen overnight. There's background work that is done, and that is what is in part of the UX part of things. That is you understanding your users. So now let us go through the foundation of UX, which is understanding, because we're actually building products for what? For users, for them to use. So they are very important to building products. And so we can call it a user-centric design. So a user-centric design is designing with the user's needs, behaviors, and goals at the forefront. So why is it important for us to focus on the users? Because they're the ones that are going to use your application. If you have your application and nobody is downloading it and using it, I think Emmanuel Basharoon, your mic is unmuted. Please, can you mute your mic? I'm getting feedback. Thank you very much. So focusing on our users will require us to have the quality of empathy. When you say you are empathetic, it means that you feel the pain of someone else, isn't it? Yes. So we are building products to ease the pain of users, and that is what we call a user-centric design. So who are our users? So before products are being designed and shipped, you need to understand your users, and you have to create what we call user personas. Now, user personas are fictional characters, that helps us understand the product that we are about to build. So how does one create a user persona? You need to look at the demographics of the users, because there are some applications that are tailored to maybe the Gen Zs. There are applications that you want to focus on millennials. There are applications or products that you want to focus on what the older generation. So you need to get the demographic before you even start doing what? Designing your application. And now, if you've chosen a demographic, in this case, I want to use a Gen Z, you need to know what the goal of those people are, your users. You need to know the frustrations they feel about the solution that you are trying to solve. And if there are other applications that they are using that does similar things to what you want to ship, you also need to know how they feel when they use those products. And then you know what extra you need to do to add to your own product to make it very good. You need to understand behavior and what motivates them. As we go further, we'll see how to create user personas, because that's the first thing that we usually do. Now, let's take a very brief exercise now. So imagine that you are designing an app for a local coffee shop. Who might be a typical user? So say, for example, you have a coffee shop in your area and you want to design an application for them just to ease, maybe so I can be in my home, I order for coffee, the coffee comes to me, So you are doing that for the local coffee shop. Who might be a typical user? Is it somebody that has time on their hands? Like they can easily just get up and go out, get something, or is it somebody that doesn't really have time, maybe an executive or a working class person that usually does not have time to go and stand in queues in a local coffee shop to get coffee? Which of these would be a user? Which of them would be a typical user for this application? What do you think? Is this someone that has time on their hands or a working class person? A working class. Does anyone have a contrary opinion? Good. So
Someone that doesn't have time.
exactly. So someone that doesn't have time. So if I am building this product, I would think about, for example, let's use the name Aisha. I'm thinking about Aisha. Now, Aisha is a marketing professional. She lives in a very busy area. She wakes up, gets ready for work very early to beat traffic, but then on her way, the coffee shop is on her way, but she cannot stop. She has to go straight into the office. So that product you are building is for Aisha, so that Aisha can do what? Quickly bring out your product, your product, yes, or your application, order for coffee, and have the coffee delivered to her. So that is how you get to understand the user that you are building your product for, that you are building your solution for in that context. Now, if and when you have been able to understand the users that you are building it for, and you have been able to create a persona, which is fictional in this case, you now have to create a journey map for it. Now, let's use another example. If you are ordering food online, what do you do? I don't know if there's anyone here that has used Chowdeck before, or Glovo, or there are some applications that you use in ordering food. What is the journey like? So the journey is like, you open the application, you search for the restaurant. Now, once you search for the restaurant, you see a list of restaurants. You click on the restaurant, you look for what they have on their menu, you see what you like, you add to cart, you check out, you make payment, and the food is delivered to you. So that is what is called user journeys in UX UI. So it is like moving from point A to point B. For those of us who might be in Lagos, you have to get to the island from the mainland. You have to enter a bus or whatever means of transportation you want to use. You go down. If you're entering a bus, you go to CMS. From CMS, you see another bus that takes you to the island, Aja, any other place. So you see, that is a journey. Those are for those of us in Lagos. It works in any other place. For those of us in Ghana, in Nigeria, you all travel. You all take journeys. So in UI UX, there's also a journey. How would the user move from point A to point B? You have to think about it as well. So in the coffee example we gave, the user has to download the application, sign up. After signing up, he looks for the store, he selects the coffee he wants, and he places an order and makes payment. We would see how to create a user journey map very soon. But I just want you to understand the basics. Now, there's also another term called empathy mapping. What the user says, what the user thinks, how he feels, and what the user does. Since we are having, please, Ayola, can you mute your mic, Ayola? All right, thank you very much. So in the process of building a user-centric design, you also need to know these 4 things: say, think, feel, and do. So remember the user persona we created of Aisha, who is a working class lady. For you to be able to build a coffee application that she really likes, you need to hear what she says. And how do you do that? We'll get to that point when you see how you can interact with your users even before you start designing. And when we get to the user research part of things, you need to see what they think, how they feel about using a particular product, and what they do when they use a particular product. It helps you get a deeper understanding of your users when you want to build an application or a website. Now, let's go into research proper. Right now we've talked about user-centric, we've talked about understanding our users, we've talked about creating user personas, we've talked about understanding the pain of our users. But how do we do it? Is what we want to talk about now before we start design. Now notice, we have not even started talking about UI yet. We are still around the UX because that is the foundation. if you do not get your UX right, no matter what you do on the UI, it may fail. So there are products that their UI is not so great. It's not fine. You know, it's not sweet in the eyes, but their UX, their journeys, how they carry the users from point A to B, how the users feel, the ease of use, they will always have customers or they will always have users. Typical example, Amazon. This is a personal bias. I don't think Amazon's website is very beautiful and elegant, but it works. People go there and buy things every day because they understood the UX part of it, the experience, how user feels. And now there are some products that they don't really care about how user feels. They don't want everything to be shiny, look well, feel good. At the end of the day, users will get frustrated using that application. So there must be a perfect balance between UX and UI. More on UX, if you ask me, how the users feel, not to discredit UI. UI is also very important. So if you can balance UX and UI, you are going to build wonderful products that users can use, as we have several examples in whatever countries that we are. Those of us, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana, any other country. So there must be a perfect balance, Now, let's go into UX research. How do you get to know your users? How do you get to understand them? UX research is the systematic investigation of users and their needs to add context and insight into the design process. So it is what? Investigation. You are doing investigation. Now, what do we do in UX research? We validate assumptions, we discover pain points, we find opportunities. I might wake up one morning and I say, oh, I want to build an application, maybe the coffee shop example we just give, I can make my own assumptions, say, oh, recently I found out that people try to order something, it usually comes late. Okay, this is a problem I want to solve. I want to build a product where they can have their packages faster. That is my own assumption. If I build that application based on my assumption, it may not work out. So I need to understand how the user feels. If the user's feeling validates my assumptions. So if I get the user's feelings and my assumptions, put it together, I can be able to build a very great product that will last. Now, these are the common user research methods. So while we do user research, we have what we call qualitative research and quantitative research. Now, qualitative research is understanding why. Why do a user use this particular product, or why would they want to use this solution or this product I'm building? And so qualitative means, or the means of performing qualitative research is by user interviews, one-on-one conversations. So as a UI UX person, before you start designing, you have to do what? Sit with your users. So if I am targeting the Gen Z, I will go out, I will meet Gen Zs, talk with them, sit down, have a discussion with them. Oh, okay, this is how you feel. This is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? Hear what they say. That will give you insight on the problem you are trying to solve. You may not necessarily go out physically. For some people who may be shy, you can also do it online too. Invite your friends or people you know over a call like this, maybe on Zoom or Google Meet. Discuss with them. Oh, this is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? They say what they think. If there are other competitors, if there are other companies that are providing the same solution that you want to provide, and they are using that application, ask them how they feel about the application and what they need that can be better, and put it in your own. That is how you understand why users use a particular product or why they want to use your product that you are trying to build. Please, if you are still with me, if you're understanding me, just give me a thumbs up. All right. Okay. So another form of qualitative research is also usability testing. Now, usability testing comes after you've done your product. Sometimes not necessarily after you've done your product, sometimes in the process of your design. So if you've made out your designs, your wireframes, prototypes, or coming to wireframes and prototypes, I will explain what those are and show you how they are. Usability testing is simply having your users use your application. Maybe allow them use it. Just look at them while they are using it. Just observe them while they are using it. Don't say anything. Let them use it. As they are using it, you may find out that they are having difficulties. For example, the coffee application. You may find out that they are having difficulties adding a particular coffee to cart. And you observe, and then you notice, maybe the button I put there was too small, and the users are finding it hard to click that button. This is research based on what? Observance, usability testing. So that's why understanding why. So you can either do user interviews, you can also do usability testing during your during the design and the building of your product. Now, another form of user research is quantitative. So quantitative is what and how many. So this can be done through the use of surveys. So you can go to Google Forms. You type out a survey and you send it maybe to your WhatsApp list or your contacts. Have everybody do what? Fill the form. Don't make it too long. Just make it small so that you gain some insights. Typical example could be I'm trying to use a real life scenario, something I've worked on before. Okay, one time I was building a food application, for users to order food online, and then I set up a Google form even before I started designing the application. And on that Google form, I was asking them questions like, how often do you order food online? That question might be very important. It might be in an area. There's some areas that people don't necessarily order food online. So with the quantitative, you have been able to see how many number of users you might potentially have. So if you're in an area that you are building a product where people don't order food online, they just go to the nearest booker and eat, or there's no stable internet, and you are building a product where people order food online, that product will not succeed. But if it's in a bustling city, where we have working class people, then you are able to know the number of people that would likely order food online, and that gives you an idea of how successful your product can be. And also, another form of quantitative would also be analytics. So once you shift up to your website, you have your website live, you have your product live, there is what we call analytics. Analytics observes your website or your application and shows you where users spend more time on, or where users quickly just go off from. So if you notice a place where users just quickly go off from, it now beckons you to think, okay, why are users really leaving this place all the time? Why are they skipping it? You now think of what to do well so that you can gain the user retention. Sometimes it might just be maybe your application is loading too slow. You notice, oh, users are skipping this place, or they are closing the application. You might now want to do what? Make your application load faster. But if you cannot make it load faster, what some companies do is that they now add an interactive illustration. For example, how many of you use Duolingo? If you learn languages, if you use Duolingo, you see that sometimes when Duolingo loads, they have this their icon is this owl, owl bird. You see that the bird will be moving, or the bird will be blinking his eyes. A user might just be interested in looking at that thing and seeing the owl blinking his eyes or moving while it is loading. So these are the things that we need to think about to build successful products. These are the research that we need to do, both qualitative and quantitative. These two are very important. And so these are some practical tips when you want to conduct your research. Interviews, ask open-ended questions. Don't ask questions where the user will need to say yes or no. Ask them questions that would involve them to speak, to talk for a while. Then you are able to understand what they really want. Also, your surveys, keep them concise. Have clear questions. Don't create a survey of 20 minutes. Am I writing JAMB or am I writing an exam? They'll be frustrated. They will not fill your surveys. So do what? Just make it some surveys at 1 minute, 2 minutes, you're done. Then on usability testing, focus on observing. Don't lead the user. So if the user is using your application, just observe. Don't tell them what to do. Observe. Then you really understand the pain, the frustrations of your users, how they behave, and how you can make your application better. Now, this is an activity. We're going back to that poorly designed interface we showed earlier. We want to look at the potential usability issues and how you might research them. So let's go back to that very beautiful website we saw. Very beautiful. This website. So beautiful. You agree with me, Abby? Very beautiful. Now, what are the issues here? And what can you do better? Now, looking at this, can someone, you can either speak or type in the chat. Just pick out something that will be an issue.
Everything
Okay.
okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm blessing. Sorry, I was supposed to raise my hand.
Yes.
The thing is, nothing is good about this website. It's too clustered. Like, nothing is good about it.
Okay. Now, can we be specific? Okay, I see some people saying arrangements. Tola Adele Abi. Yeah, I hope I didn't.
Okay. I felt that the images are meant to be like, you have to know what we are like. You don't understand what they are trying to explain to you. You don't even know what is it, bicycle, is it car, we don't even know, is it toy they are trying to patronize. We don't even know. There's too much to read, there's too much to understand, so it's too overwhelming. So I felt that the images should be like, it shouldn't be too much. Out of these hundreds of images, we can just make use of 4 images, then few words that will classify everything we are trying to patronize, we are trying to explain. Then the user will be able to like, okay, I think this is what the person is trying to explain. So from this view now, we can't even tell, maybe they are selling car, they are selling toy, or they are just, we don't even know. It's too overwhelming.
Thank you very much, Adiola. I see a hand, Sia Carafel.
Yeah, good evening. I think personally that there's so much information on this interface, and to like disorganize the user from what to do, like miscommunication.
Thank you so much, Raphael. Okay, another hand. I see Ahmed Haruna. Yeah, Chimile, that's a very good observation and suggestion. He said categorize them into bicycles, scooters, etc. So categorization too is also important. Any other thing? Ahmed Haruna, you want to say something? Someone says it's designed in the 90s. Okay, I don't think Ahmed is there. How about let's have Christopher. Where I can see the
Okay, good evening, Samuel.
Good evening.
Okay, so from this website, what I can say is that it looks pretty clumsy. Like there's just a whole lot of images and little pictures all around, and that actually helps people just feel relaxed and focus on the website and what they actually want to get. There's just so much distraction on the site. So that's my own observation.
Yes, thank you very much. If we leave the room, there will be so many observations. I know everybody has what to say, but we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much. And someone also said, Emmanuel said, there's no hierarchy. There's no hierarchy too. You see that all the text looks exactly the same. Someone's mic is unmuted. Please mute your mic, please. Thank you very much. Yes, GBK said there's no user empathy. You're not feeling for your users doing this. You don't feel for them at all. It's like you hate the people that want to come here to use this website. So it is very, very bad. In the search bar, I cannot see. Let's. My blood pressure is coming up. So let's leave it. We've tried. So this is not a good website in any way. All right. So that's for UX. I mean, there are more to it, but those are just the basic principles of UX, the things that can help you get started. But once you dive into it, you see that it's a whole broad aspect when it comes to UX. We can't say everything today. It is very wide and very broad. But we've touched it a bit to understand the basics. Now let us go into UI, which is the user interface. Okay, so we've talked about the UX. Now UX is the feelings your user gets from your product. So this might be the blueprint of your house. If you're about to build a house, you have the schematics, what the architect draw on the paper. And then the UI is the actual visual, how the house looks. When you now have it on 3D, you now see that plan that the architect has drawn. You now see it live. And when you build it, Igwe Golden, your mic, please. Thank you. Yeah. So UX, UI, they work together. Now let us look at some common UI design principles. Igwe Golden, please, are you trying to mute your mic? Please mute your mic.
I'm trying to mute it. Sorry, sir.
Okay, no problem. Yes. All right, so let us look at some key UI design principles. First will be consistency. So how do things look in your products? Now, in some products, you see that some buttons are let me explain this by going into this application. Now, there's an application called Figma. Figma is an application that we use for product design. Let me share my screen again so you get to see everything. Now, is for those who don't know, it's Figma. Figma. Figma is what we use. There are other applications that we use. As we go on, I'll show you those applications. But let me share my screen so you work with me. All right. So the first design principle is consistency. Things in your product or in your website, are they consistent? For example, buttons. Do I come to your website, maybe in the home page? Someone's hand is up. Make cute days. Okay, say you have something to say. Please, what do you wish to say?
Okay, I basically wanted to talk about the other website you showed up.
Okay.
I wanted to explain. We have like in the library, we have what we call catalogs. The books are arranged in a particular sequence. And once you get into the library, and this catalog alone is what makes it easier for you to navigate. Yes. It's almost like you trying to enter someone's room and you see mixture of you see a proper arrangement of He has a box for his jean. He has a box for shirts. He has a box for yeah. You know by you just looking at the setting of the room, it will be very very appealing to you, and you will love it. So I think that was what the other person that designed the website did not have. They just scattered everything, mix bicycle with generator, mix this and that. So that's what I wanted to explain.
All right, thank you so much. That was really understandable. Thank you. All right, um, let's go on because of our time. Someone's mic is on mute. I can hear myself. I don't know who that person is. Well, let's go on. So back to the UI design principles, consistency. Now, if I come to your application, um, if I come to your application and I'm seeing your buttons, maybe on the home page, I see a button that looks this way, and then I go to another page and I see a button that looks like this, and I go to another page and I see another button that looks like this. You see that these three buttons are different. This one has a sharp corner, this one has a slightly rounded corner, and this one has a fully rounded corner. Now, that would confuse your users already. They'll feel like they are interacting with different applications. So the issue of being consistent means that if I decide to use this fully rounded corner button, that is the button that has to be everywhere in the application or in the website. And then we can say that we are being consistent. There are other areas of consistency, but I'm just using this example of a button. We'll come back to Figma. If you don't understand what I'm doing, we'll come back to it very soon. So don't panic. Next will be clarity. Are things easy to understand in your product? Are they easy to understand? Or do I come to your product and I'm seeing a text, but the thing is very small. I can't see it very well. I can't read it. Even if I wear glasses, I would not see it. So try to make things in your website, on your product, very easy to understand. Also, feedback. What is happening? Remember the Duolingo example I just gave? That can also be feedback. If something is loading and I'm just seeing a blank screen, nothing is showing at all, I will feel like maybe my internet has disconnected or something is wrong. It creates a feeling like, okay, things are wrong, or if you are giving your users feedback at every given opportunity, maybe the user is trying to press a button and it's not going. There might be a notification or a pop-up that says, oh, your internet is too slow. Maybe that's why this thing is not going. So always try to lead your users, give them feedback at every step of the way, let them know what they are doing, give them little visual cues. For example, in your button, you would notice that sometimes when you look at a button's color, for example, let's use purple. I'm seeing a purple button. You notice that if I click on the button, especially if I'm using desktop, the purple becomes darker when I click on it. That is feedback. The user understands, yes, I clicked on it. But if the purple is just the same way, both click, both load, it's the same way, I'm not getting any feedback. So these little visual cues helps your users stay in your application. That's for feedback. Another thing is hierarchy. Someone mentioned hierarchy when we were looking at that website. Now look at this slide we have here. Are you able to perceive what the header and the body of this slide you are seeing is? Yes, you are able to know that this is what? A header, because it is bolder and it has a different color. And this is the subtext because it is smaller. So that is hierarchy. Imagine that everything in this slide is in this black color and is in this font style. You are not able to perceive what is important. In this slide, what is important is what? This heading, TUI design principles. So in your product and in your website, you want to be able to let users know what is really important. For example, the coffee shop example we gave earlier. Usually, when you go to a product like that, you see that sometimes the price of the coffee is bolder than the other text. That is hierarchy, because the users, they want the users to know that, oh, it's the price that is important. They want you to see the price before you check out. So do you place things? Is there a hierarchy, or is everything in your application looking the same? And next would be accessibility. Is your application usable by everyone? There are some people that have color blindness. Can they use your application? How can you put those people who are disabled or have color blindness in mind? Typical example. There are some colors that you might want to increase the contrast, make it look sharper, so that someone who has color blindness will be able to say, okay, there is a what? There's a button here, or there's a text here. How about the rule of thumb? If you notice on your mobile phone, you notice that things that are up here are harder to click. You have to stretch your hand, take it upwards. So that is why when you are designing for mobile, you don't put a lot of, like, for example, your call to action, your button, like in your applications, there are things that users will always click, that they will always be using in your application. For example, your button. So you will not go and put your button up here. It becomes harder for users to, stretch their hands. For those of us who like to use one hand to type, you find yourself, you putting your hand up so that you click the button, But then if you want your application to be accessible, you place the button below. It is very easy for me, somebody who's using one hand, to just click on the button below. So there are several examples of making your application accessible to everybody. Several of them. Typical example, people that use your application. Another example will be people that are blind. If you have an image in your application, obviously someone who is blind cannot see that image. But then if you are building your product to cater for blind people in mind, you are adding that image and you are adding a description to that image. Maybe the image is showing the picture of a dog. Me, I can see. I see a dog. I don't need a description. But then a blind person who uses their imagination, your application will read, oh, there's an image of a dog right here. So you see that you are still retaining even those that cannot see. By what? By descriptions. So these are just common principles, that we must have in mind when we build and design applications for users. Now, components of UI. We have buttons, we have input fields, we have menus, navigation bars, icons, typography, color palettes. As you can see here, these are just a few examples. We have, sorry, it's loading. Okay, so right here, you can see how colors are used here. You can see how texts are used. You can see the hierarchy of texts. You can see the icons that are used on it. You can see the charts that are used. You can even see the images that are used on this application in this example. And you can also see buttons that are used, So once you go into the UI UX field proper, you'll be creating beautiful designs like this that are usable for users. So you'll be putting all these elements, colors, input fields, pictures, you'll be putting it. You can do this. It just takes what? Time and practice. And you'll be creating beautiful things like this. So then we have a UI flow. What is a UI flow? It is a diagram or sequence showing the screens and interactions a user will go through to complete a specific task within an application or a website. Now, it is similar to a user journey, although UI flow is quite specific, more specific rather. So think of it this way. User journey may be how I want the user to download the application, use the application. Okay, Collins, your hand is up. Do you
Okay,
have
I'm asking.
Oh, you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Can you jot down your questions? When we are done, we'll take your questions.
No, it's about fonts, colors.
Fonts.
Colors.
Okay, go on.
I'm asking how many colors is one supposed to use on a product?
Okay. Let me write that down. Or answer that question. Or can the moderators help me note that question down, please?
Which question is that, please?
Yeah, he was asking how many colors can one use in a particular product.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back to
Noted.
that. Right. So, where was I? Oh, yeah, I was talking about a UI flow. So a UI flow, a user journey might be how the user goes from point A to point B in your app. Now, a UI flow is also similar but more specific. So an example of a UI flow could be the login process. How do I want my users to log in? So I can design screen one. Screen one shows the welcome, the login, or the sign up page. Screen two shows the login form where I put my username, my password, and every other thing. Screen three would be the home screen. So if I'm able to log in successfully, it shows me the home screen. If there's an error, it shows me an error message. And there's also a forgot password. So it is a flow in a particular screen, a flow. So a user journey map is much broader than a UI flow. Now, let's consider this example so that we really understand that UI flow. Now, imagine you're designing a simple recipe app. So you're designing a recipe app, maybe an application that tells users, maybe, for example, you want to cook soup or rice. It's an application that, you go to see recipes and then you go to your kitchen and then you have it cooked. What would be a simple UI flow for that? How do you think about it? What do you think? So a flow, when it comes to that, it might simply be I open the application, I see the home screen. Now in the home screen, I am seeing a big search box in the home screen. And the search bar says search recipes. And then I click on the search bar and I type which food will I use now? Let me use jollof rice. And I type in jollof rice in the search bar. And as I type in jollof rice and I press enter, another screen shows. Now see, we've gone through two screens. The first screen is the screen that shows the search bar. See, we're creating a UI flow now. The first screen shows the search bar. The second screen shows where you type in your jollof rice in this case. Then the second screen is a loading screen that shows like a progress loading. And then it takes you to another screen where the recipe for jollof rice is listed for you. And then the user goes through that recipe. So you see, we have taken out 4 screens for that flow, for just searching up a recipe. So as a designer, you are able to think of how the flows should be. So once you've thought about the flow, if you've written it out, that will now take us to the next point, which is called wireframing. Remember I talked about wireframing. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Now, you've thought about how your UI flow would be. Now we're talking about wireframing now. What is wireframing? Now, wireframes are low fidelity or black and white skeletal representation of a screen's layout and structure. Once we're done with this section, we'll do a quick wireframe and see how we can do a wireframe. Now, the purpose of wireframes is to focus on content placement, where things would be, the functionality, and the information hierarchy without distractions of a visual design. Now, what does that mean? It means a person who is about to build a house, once you go to an architect, yes, it's a blueprint. A wireframe does not need colors. Oh, you don't need colors. You don't need text. You don't need to start thinking about all those things. All you just have to do is just think about the building blocks, how things should be. And the types of wireframes we have low fidelity wireframes, we have mid fidelity wireframes, and high fidelity wireframes. You know, although the two popular ones are low and high. Some designers, you know, they skip the mid fidelity. You know, they just do the low fidelity and do the high fidelity. Some designers do the three, they do the low, the mid, the high. You know, whichever one works for you, but you must do two. So you have to do what? The low fidelity is what? Sometimes the low fidelity can just be you sketching on your book, drawing how the screen would be. And then mid fidelity is a more refined screen, and then high fidelity. Let me show you an example of how that looks. All right, can you see this? Yeah, so you see, this is low fidelity. I think my screen is still coming up. Okay, so this is low fidelity. Do you see how it is? It's just a bunch of lines, text, circles, you know, low fidelity. This is mid fidelity. Now, you see that this mid fidelity has some little icons, you know, and then some text. And then high fidelity now has the colors proper, the icons proper, and the text. So as a product designer or a UI UX designer, whichever product you are working on, your low fidelity has to be done. So you do your low fidelity, you've gotten the idea of what you want to do. Then you can now transition into high fidelity. If you start with high fidelity first, you'll be frustrated. You will waste more time because it's like you're not thinking times two. You are thinking of placement, you're thinking of colors, you're thinking of icons all at the same time. But put it out in chunks. Do your placement first. So you've done your placement, how things should be. Then you can now start putting in your icons little by little, and then your color. Before you know, you have a proper application on your device. That is what wireframes are, and the types of wireframes we have. Yes, I just showed you a clear example of it. Now, then there's what we call prototyping. Now you've done your wireframes. What is a prototype? They are interactive simulations of your product, ranging from clickable wireframes to high fidelity mockups. In a nutshell, it's just bringing your designs to life. Now you've done your wireframes. Now, you remember those 4 screens we talked about? You may do wireframes for 4 screens. Now, prototyping is bringing your designs to life. How those 4 screens will connect to each other. Connecting screen 1 to screen 2, screen 2 to screen 3. You do that, and you'll be able to click it on your phone, on your laptop, and see how it interacts. That is what prototyping is. Connecting your wireframes, basically. And the tools that we use for wireframing, for your sketching, you can use a paper or pen. Then for digital, remember Figma. Figma is like the most popular design tool out there right now. You know, it's the hottest. Then there's Adobe XD. XD has been there for a while, even before Figma. There's Sketch, there's Balsamic, there's Marvel, there's InVision, you know, and many others. I use Figma more because Figma has everything you need to do both UX and UI, wireframing, prototype. I will show you everything right now. And yeah, lastly would be why wireframing and prototype. Somebody might look at it as it seems too much. Why are we doing all this thing? Why not we just start designing, putting the colors, you know, and build the application, give it to developers, software developers, build it, you know. It helps you iterate quickly. For example, the example I gave of a user who is about to sign up. Now, I am building a coffee application, but I built out the feature of signing up. So for me to be able to iterate quickly and make changes, I may just carry out that feature of signing up, because on that signing up, I have wireframed it, I have prototyped it, I have corrected it. I might give it to a user. A user, we do what? We go through it. We click, 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 click. I will notice. Or the user might say, I find it hard clicking so thing, or I don't understand what this thing is. You see that you've not spent money to build the application, and then the users are not seeing the mistakes. Rather, you've only done the design, the wireframing, and the prototype, and you can easily go and correct that mistake you have done before you even go out, push it out for users to download and use. That is why wireframing and prototyping is very important. It helps you iterate quickly. It helps you test assumptions. It saves you time and money, and you can communicate your ideas effectively. Now, let's do a live demo now. Or before we do the live demo, let's take some questions based on everything we have said so far. Let's take 2 or 3 questions. And I'll go first of all with the question that I've forgotten the name of that person. Please, can you remind me your name again? The person who asked the colors that will be used for, how many colors should be used for a product?
Collins.
Yes, Collins, thank you very much. So the rule is, it's not necessarily a rule though, but not more than 3. Not more than 3. There must be a primary color, and the other ones will just be, the other 2 might be secondary. Some users stick to one color. Some companies stick to one color. Some companies use 2 colors. Some companies are more expressive and creative. They use 3 colors, but not more than, not more than 3 colors. If you go to, for example, let's go to Piggyvest. Let's see Piggyvest. Now, you see that Piggyvest are more conservative. If you notice, their main color here is what? Is this color. I think this is a black or a dark blue. But then you see that other colors are used. But Evans, please, can you, thank you. Now, other colors are used, but they are used sparingly. They are not out there. If you are looking at this website, you notice that the main color is what? This color. You see that it's always there, but other colors are used what? Sparingly, as you can see. Now, a more expressive company would be, let's see, Slack. I think Slack has Google. Google is also expressive. Okay, no, Slack has their main color is purple, you know, but you see they are using other colors like this blue.
Can't see anything, or is it only my screen?
I'm still seeing, but I don't know if he's still speaking or not.
I think the connection break is from there.
I've not
Yeah,
received inside.
Okay, I think it's a connection from him.
Now,
I think we should just hold on and wait for him.
Yes, let's wait for him.
Hello, class. Please just give him a little minute. He will be back with us.
Okay, thank
It's all
you.
right. No problem.
All right, no problem. We are with him. That's how
All
the
right.
country
Thank
is.
you so much for your understanding.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Maybe in the meantime, Tina, can you be taking maybe if there are any other questions so that by the time Samuel comes, we have any questions? I don't know.
Well, I won't be able to give you the perfect answer that you need. So why don't you just wait for him? Or if it has something to do with LaTeX and the course, then you can ask me.
As opposed to just be looking at each other, some of us are likely to doze. Maybe if there are any questions you could take without responding to
Okay,
them.
let's start.
Yes.
Can we start singing?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, our coach is back.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. We really missed you.
Sorry. My network has
you're
started
welcome
on
back.
my
It's
network has
network. It's network. That is the country now. That is the country. It's network.
All right. So yeah, so I was talking about colors. So yeah, so the rule of thumb is, stick to 3, 2, or 1 color. Don't go beyond, and then people will be confused and okay, what's your brand color? They would not know your brand color, and your application will just be looking too colorful. Then confuses you. So just stick to 2. I stick to 2. Personally, I don't do 3, I don't do 1, I just stick to 2. But then there's one main color, and the other one is just a secondary color for sort of things. Steven's hand is up. I hope I'm not able to answer your question, Collins.
Yes, you've answered it.
All right. Steven Sampson.
All right. So good evening, sir. Welcome back from the network break.
Yeah,
All right.
the breaking transmit. Can anyone hear Steven? I can't hear him anymore.
Steven has also taken a network break.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, while Steven is having that sorted out, any other question?
Yes, please. I have a question.
Okay.
So like how long does it take to actually get to a, should I say, a reasonable skill level in UI UX such that I could actually take up, like basic, or should I say, projects Yeah.
Okay,
And how do
so
you advise I start? Do I go first with the Figma, or do I take a course on maybe Udemy or something, then probably practice with Figma? How do I go about it?
okay, that's good. So there's not really a time frame set to these things. It actually depends on you, the person, and how serious you are, you know. But I'd like to say 6 months to a year. Some people are able to pick it in 3 months, some people are able to pick it in 6 months, you know. I for myself, I I was able to pick it in 3 months because I had a background in design already. I was already a graphics designer, brand designer, so I was able to pick it faster in 3 months. That's the advantages that some graphic designer might have. But someone who is not from a design background totally, if you are really serious, you can pick it up in 6 months, or less, and then after that, you now start taking up projects, little side projects, personal projects, that you can use to build a very good portfolio. And please, Lamilekon, please, your mic, please. Lamilekon Adesanya. Thank you. So there's no really a time frame to it. It all depends on your seriousness. But I like to give, my students, 6 months. Like if it's too much, 6 months, be able to pick it, and start getting your hands dirty. So now when it comes to learning about it, that is why we at LaTeX are here. So we usually have classes, for those people and take them step by step, building. And after a while, we'll now go from UX, go to UI to Figma. We don't usually start from Figma because Figma is the UI part. We start from just as we have explained it today. So we at LaTeX have a provision for those people that want to learn. We have a learning path for you that wants to learn. We have resources, we have books, videos, do one-on-one, do boot camps. We have it. So maybe after this call, the moderators will be able to discuss that better with you. Or I'm always available. I'll drop the links to my socials after this. You can always reach out to me, and I can help out in any way I can. I can do that. I hope I've been able to answer that question, Christopher.
Yes, you have. Thank you very much.
Okay. Somebody asks, can it be white? White is not a. Imagine I am designing. Well, white can be a primary color if you are designing your product in dark mode. So dark mode means your product will be black, so your button can be white. But it's not really advisable to use white. White is usually for backgrounds or text. So white cannot be a common option. White is more neutral. Any other questions?
All right, thank you. So how do I improve on
Yes, please. I have a question.
components? Can you hear me, please?
Okay. Daniel, please go on.
Yeah. So I've worked on some projects, but my problem is that when it comes to components, right, I find it difficult. So how do I improve on components?
Okay. So yeah, components. Components are very important. So before you start designing or you start building a product, there's something called a design system, where you have these components. Now, these are components. The word components means that they are things that you will reuse in your application. So you just create one of it and keep it. So all you have just to do to be bringing out an instance, copying it and putting it where they need to be. So that if, for example, in a button, I don't have to be creating buttons all the time. Or if I want to change the color of my button, if I change one color of the button, if I create a component for a button, if I change the color of that component, it changes the color of the button everywhere the button appears in the application. So improving in your Rukewe, please, your mic is thank you. So improving in designing components simply means you improving in your UI skills, in your design skills. That is because components is also design. You are designing components. So improving in designing components, you have to improve in what? In your design skills. You have to think about the things in your application that would be reusable. So it saves you time. You just create one of it, then you can create more of it, you know. So you have to improve in your UI design skills. That's why we are here, you know, for you to improve. So once we get straight into the nitty-gritties of things, you know, in subsequent classes, you know, we'll not learn how to create design systems. So yeah, we'll come to that. Someone says, Colin said, as a UI UX designer, should one learn coding or is not necessary? The truth is not necessary. I don't know how to code. It is important to have an idea because you'll be collaborating with developers. You know, just an idea or not putting your hands inside it. You know, it's important to just have an idea of how it is. But as a UI UX designer, you don't need to learn how to code. I cannot code. I can't write code. You know, so I work with developers. When I get my designs ready, I give it to developers and they build. And these days, there are also no code skills that are coming up faster. There's a product called Framer. With Framer, if you design on Figma, you can just take it to Framer and it will build a live website for you without writing one line of code. So as long as you don't have to learn coding. That's just a strict answer. Oh, should be David. You have a background in graphics, so by now you should understand colors and hierarchy and those things. So it will be quite easier for you to adapt. Much easier. Can AI take over UI UX? This question very controversial. Well, the answer is no. AI cannot take over UI UX. AI only, what AI can do, AI can create UI, some parts of UI, maybe not fully. AI cannot understand your users. AI cannot perform usability testing, one-on-one conversations with your users. You know, AI cannot take over. AI cannot, you cannot downplay the role of humans when it comes to UI UX. Now, especially UX. So AI cannot take over. A designer who uses AI, so AI aids you to be faster with things. So you should be more concerned. If I want to be a prolific UI UX designer, I need to make AI my friend. I need to use AI because AI will help you to fasten things. For example, if I'm trying to create a user persona and I've done my interviews with physical people, you know, that's what AI cannot do. AI cannot know the pain of people. AI cannot discover the solution you want to solve down to the grassroots. So it's like if I've done all those things, I can bring all my results and give it to AI. And then AI can now create a fictional persona for me. So a designer who uses AI to aid his work will be better than the designer who doesn't use AI. So AI cannot replace UI UX. No, it can't. It can't. More questions. Constraint and auto layouts. That would be for another time because we'll enter there. Edgar Roy's hand is open, please. Oh, Edgar, hold on, please. Let's take from Mary. Let's hear from Mary first.
All right, good evening. Thank you very much. Please, I took more interest when you said after designing with Figma, you can take your designs to Framer. Please, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So what that does is Framer has made it easier. There's something in design called plugins, whereby if you make a design on Figma with the Framer plugin, it's able to pick that design and put it in Framer. And then when it puts it in Framer, it's like copying what you have done on Figma, putting it in Framer, but then creating a live URL for you to give it to somebody to see. So what it does, it creates that design for you. It writes the code for you. You can actually see where it's writing the code for you, for you to copy out the code. So it's quite easy. Even though you don't use the plugin, Framer's interface is similar to Figma's interface. The things that you can not entirely similar though, but the basic things you can do in Figma, once you've done it, you can easily copy it, put it in Framer. You can easily do placement in Framer, redesign what you've done in Figma in Framer, and once you've done it, there's a button in Framer. Framer is a whole different course entirely. So there's a button in Framer whereby when you are done with your design, you click on publish. It publishes your website on what? On the web, a live website. However, it doesn't do applications. So at least that I know of, the one I know of is live website. Maybe if you want to do your portfolio, if you want to do a website, you can easily do Framer. Last I checked, it doesn't do product applications.
Okay, so after using Framer, do I still need a developer, or I just deploy and buy
No,
domain?
you don't need a developer. You don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. You've solved 85% of my problem. Thank you.
Okay, let's take one more question so that we can go to our live demo. One more question. Okay, Oluwagozi says, what I want to ask that can AI ChatGPT make your full user research for products in case you don't have like physical people to interview? Well, you need physical people. Yes, AI can give you, but AI will just give you based on general assumptions. So if I want to build a particular product for example, for my community, I need to go and talk with people. It's AI cannot do that part. AI cannot do that part. Okay, Adekoya.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. Number one question I want to ask is, as regards the research and all, is it always
Adekoya's network.
Researching, to people researching about. Okay, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I said, thank you for this opportunity. I have two questions. The first one is every time we go out, researching, meeting physical people about, a particular design and to know more about an interface to see if it will work with people better or not? Is it every time we just go out there, or we can just, create out of ourselves, or or look at, probably you look at a similar design that you've seen online also. And then my second question is, um, ah, God, since I've forgotten myself, I, okay, I've been into UI UX not quite long. I've been, checking online, researching about it because I'm actually a graphic designer, a graphic designer, and I've been into this for a while, but I just want to put myself into a structured learning, and that's why I signed up. And I thank you for this opportunity. Um, so I want to ask if, as a designer, it is right for you to, use other people's plugins for your designs, like, or is it you just go the long way? I see plugins as a kind of easy way. So is it right for a designer to use plugins, or can you just go your way? Should you just start your own design from the beginning? So those are my questions, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So the first question, so like I said while I was going through that user research, there are different user research methods. There are some people that would want to go out to talk to physical people. There's some people that send out surveys online. You don't necessarily have to meet people. So it's not every research method that requires you to do what? To meet physical people. Some of them can just be what you observed online. Sometimes you can go to X or Twitter. You just see people complain about a particular feature in an application. Maybe you are doing something similar to that. It's okay, these people don't really, they don't like this. Okay, I can make my own better. So it is not, that is not the only form of research, meeting physical users. That's the answer to your first questions. Then two will be plugins. Now, plugins don't necessarily do the design for you. What plugins do is, even if tomorrow there's a plugin that comes out that, we do your design, then you are not a designer, if you are using plugins to do designs. You have to learn it. You have to learn how to do it, because companies will not employ someone who can use plugins, or plugin. The plugin just aids you to design faster. For example, I might be working on a particular page and I need text. I just need a section where text would be. I just want text to be there. The text may not make sense, but I just want to put it there so I can get a feel of what I'm doing. There's a plugin, a Lorem Ipsum plugin. If you just put it, it generates text for you. Or I might be working on a particular page, and I'm working on a page that has people's profiles, and I want to put pictures on those profiles. I don't necessarily have to go to the internet and start downloading one picture. There's a plugin that can just fill in pictures there, or even names, real names. So those plugins are just ease of use. They are not the actual design, But if there's a plugin tomorrow that comes and designs something for you, please learn how to design. Don't focus on plugins or what people have done, doing copying and pasting. There's no substance to it. So I hope that I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So let's get into the live demo. Let's do that coffee application we are talking about. Now, if you are not signed up to Figma, you might want to sign up to Figma. Just go to figma.com. If you go to figma.com, it signs you up to Figma. You can use your Gmail, it signs you up. Now, when you sign up to Figma, you are seeing, you can download the application or you can use the web app, whichever you want. When you sign up to Figma, you are seeing a page like this. So we are going to show you how to create a new page and get your hands dirty. Let's use the next 10 to 15 minutes to do something quickly on that coffee application. So once you've signed up, you see something like this. So you go to this button to create. You click on create design. So I click on create design. So Oluchi. Okay, why this is loading? Let me answer Oluchi's question. So there are people who learn how to design icons. There are people who learn iconography. But as a designer, you don't necessarily need to learn how to design icons. There are plugins for that. There are icon packs. So you have to do just copy the icon, put in your own design, and keep it moving. Except you want to specialize in iconography. That's also a very good aspect of design, iconography. There are people that design typography. Design is so vast, so wide. And you can't say everything now. So yeah, so you'll be seeing a blank page like this. You are seeing these panels. This is the left panel, this is the right panel, and these are your tools for designing. So so what do you need to do when you're about to start designing? You need to click on this icon that says frame. So once you click on frame icon, it pops up a number of frames. So there's phone frame, there's tablet, desktop, presentation. If you're designing for watch, paper, social media, a lot of them. But in this context, it's a mobile application. So we'll go to phone. Now phone, there's any screen size you want, But me, myself, I like using iPhone 13 and 14 because that's where most phone screen size fall in. And iPhone 13, 14 is 390 by 844. So whichever one you want to use, though, you can use it. Depends. So once you click on it, it pops up that frame for you. So you're seeing this frame here. Now, let us work on the low fidelity wireframe before we get to the high fidelity. Remember when we talked about it? Now, I'm downloading a coffee application. What should I see? I should see the company name. I should see a search bar. I should see categories. Or let's leave coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know categories of coffee. Let's use or is anybody in the chat going to help me with categories of? I know there's cappuccino. I know there's mocha. Anybody can just quickly type on the chat. Like, just give me like 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah, you can type it for me, please. So I can stick with the coffee. Yeah, I said iPhone 13 or 14. Any frame at all. There's iPhone 13 and 14. There's iPhone 14 and 15. iPhone 13, iPhone 16. There's Android. Any frame you want, you can do that. Okay, I see iced coffee. I see latte. Hold on, let me type it out. Okay, so I want to type something. So for you to type something out, you click on this T icon, text icon, and then you click on this is your canvas. So I can now type ice coffee. Which other one did I see? Okay, latte, espresso. We have coffee lovers here. Espresso. Starbucks. Starbucks is the company. Starbucks is not the type of coffee. Oh, macchiato. Interesting.
Nescafe.
Escape is French press. Wow. Oh yeah. Let's we're okay with this 5. All right. So I put in my frame. So I want to see like the company name. I want to see a search bar. What else would I want to see? I want to see the coffee arrangement, like the types of coffees. Then there will also be a nav bar below that will have icons. So let's create a low fidelity first. Let's create a low fidelity. So like the term low fidelity, we are not thinking about how things appear. So just you can just get creative, you know. So over here we have shapes. So if you click on this icon is called a chevron icon. That's that arrow that's pointing down. If you click on it, you would see other shapes. You see line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, star, and the rest. But let's stick with a triangle. So you click on the triangle. All you have to do is just you click, hold it, and drag. So it drags. Once you are satisfied with what you have, you can now release your mouse or your keypad. So that's what I'll be doing now. So I click on triangle. I want a search bar. So I'll just draw something like this. My search bar will be somewhere here. Then I will need like a profile picture. I click on ellipse. Ellipse is circle. And I can draw my ellipse here. So if you are trying to draw your ellipse, it will not create a perfect circle. So for you to create a perfect circle, just hold Shift on your keyboard and it makes that circle perfect. Then you can now resize it. So I can put a profile picture here. Then let me get another triangle. So I click on the chevron icon, click on triangle. This is where the company name will be. So I'll just draw it here, draw the company name. Then let me put, so it just, you're basically using shapes. So I will now have a smaller triangle. And then I can now duplicate this small triangle. So to duplicate, you either hit Ctrl D on your keyboard or you press Alt on your keyboard. Once you press Alt on your keyboard, you notice that the cursor has changed to two cursors instead of one pointer, but now it's 2 pointers. So if I click on Alt, I can now drag it. I'll drag that same shape. I can drag another one. These are for my categories. This is where I want my categories to be. Like this. Then I'll get another triangle. This one will be a more defined triangle for the products. So as I've drawn this triangle, I can duplicate it, put another triangle here, then duplicate it, put another triangle here. I hope people are getting the picture and the idea of what we're trying to do. These triangles are for the coffee displays, So you see the triangles. Then I'll now draw one last triangle for the navigation. So the navigation bar, I can now put it here. Make it draw it to the end, So I may want to have maybe three nav bars. So I want to have the home page, then maybe cart, yes, carts, So whichever, I'll just get my ellipse tool and draw another cycle inside here, So because they are the same color, I can go here, see where we have this fill. I click on this place and select white. So white is the end here, or you can put in the color code. FFF is white. So any color you want, as you draw it, you see the color codes. So let's stick with white. Now, you see now there's a problem. You see that I changed that circle to white, but I can't still see it. That's where the layers panel comes in play. These are layers. Layers are every element that you've added. They are layers to every element. So you see that first rectangle I added. You see it. This is the layer. You see this circle. You see, so as you click the layer, it's clicking those elements. Now, the reason why you could not see that circle that was white is because this white circle is beneath the triangle, the rectangle. You see that the rectangle is on top the white. So it's like it's covering it. So for you to make the white circle show your layer panel, you now have to bring this triangle. All you have to do is click on it, hold your mouse or your keypad, and drag it below. Let it go below the white circle, and then the white circle will pop up. Because now you have changed the order of things. The white circle is now above that rectangle, and so the white circle will show. It's not covering it anymore. Just thought to put that out there. Then we can now have another one. Maybe this one will be cards. Then this one will be settings. Then this one may be profile. Any way, you are the one building the application, so you should be able to think and know how these things. Yeah, so let me just quickly arrange them, put them on the center. So can you see now that we are designing now? We have a low fidelity wireframe. This is how it looks. It must not be beautiful. That's the purpose of it. It helps you know how things will be placed. Now, let's do the high fidelity. We're going to skip the mid fidelity. That might take us a while. So let's just skip the mid fidelity and do the high fidelity. So I'll click on frames again. I'll get another frame. Phone frame. Or to make it easier. Sorry, 1 second. Please, I'll take questions after. I can't take questions now, so because we're running out of time. So yeah, so what I'll just do is what I've done before. I'll just click the entire frame. You see that once you click the entire frame, you see that all your elements are inside the frame. This is the frame. So you just press Ctrl D and it duplicates that frame. Now we want to do the high fidelity. What we said, the name of the company will be here. So I can delete this and select my text tool, and I type, let me say Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks should also, we're just doing an example.
Voice is breaking.
So, sorry, is my line breaking?
No, sir, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, Christopher, I should be on network. So I have Starbucks here. Now, on this panel, we have the typography section. The typography section, you can change your typography. So if I click on it, you see that there are several fonts that you can select from. So let me just select one. It doesn't have to be. So I've selected one. You can select the weight, regular, bold, but this font has only regular. You can increase the height. So let me use 20. And then you can change the color here. Because if I put white on white, it will not show. So let me use brown. Okay, so I've selected brown, so I can now drag it inside the frame. So all you just have to do is click, hold your mouse, drag it inside the frame. Now we have the name Starbucks. Then yeah, next would be profile. So profile would be, or instead of profile, let's have the cat here. No, cat is not meant to be here. Let's put the profile. Now, what do we need here? We just need an image of a person. So this is where plugin comes in now. So instead of me to be going to search for plugins, rather for pictures, there's a plugin called Unsplash. Now, all you have to do is click on that image or on that shape. Then go to, on the left panel here, sorry, this icon where we have actions. So once you click on actions, see the search bar here, you just type Unsplash. Unsplash is the name of the plugin. Unsplash, Unsplash. So this is Unsplash. You click on Unsplash and you wait for it to pop up. Now Splash has popped up. Now I can now search, and I can now say man or male portrait, male portraits. I say search. Now let's anybody must not. So if I find out the picture I want and I like, I just click on the picture and it loads it inside that shape. Saves me time from going online to look for picture. That is how a plugin works. And that's done. Then our search bar would use another plugin here, because for the icons, usually a search bar has a search icon, So, but first of all, let's make this a proper search bar. Usually a search bar, the corners are rounded. So if I select the shape, I go to this appearance. So now in this appearance, there's something called corner radius, as you can see here. All I have to do is just increase the corner radius. So I can click and drag to increase, or I just put a value. So let me just put maybe 64 or 100. So I make it fully rounded. So it's fully rounded now, as you can see. Then the color is too dark, so I can reduce the color. I go to this fill color. I can now reduce it small, not white, but just make it so that it's subtle. I put it there. Then I can add an outline. So if I click on the shape again, if you go to stroke gives you an outline. So you click on this plus sign to add a stroke. Once you click add a stroke, see that's added a stroke around that shape. And I can now reduce the color of that stroke so it doesn't become obvious. Good. Now, I want the icon for search. Now there's another plugin called Iconify. Now, if I click on the actions here and I go to search, I search Iconify. I click on Iconify. It loads Iconify. Now I can search for the icon I want. So if I click on it, I just say search. I say enter. It pops up several search icons. So anyone I like, I think I like this one. I just click on it and I say import. Once I click import, it imports that icon. So this saves me time from designing icon. Me, I don't know how to design icons, so these are the tools I use. So all I have to do is just drag it there, inside there. Then I click on the text icon. I type search. Then I change the font. Let's use another font. Because our time is, yeah. So then I select a color, a darker color, and then I drag it inside. And I have my search. Then for my categories, where are those categories? I have iced coffee. I type my text, iced coffee. Change the color. I put it in there. That's category 1, iced coffee. I can duplicate it, Control D. I put this one inside here. I have latte. I drag. I put this one here. I have espresso. Espresso. You can always adjust it to make it fit. Then the last one, I put macchiato. And then I can now change the colors. So instead of doing it one by one, I can just select this. I hold my shift on my keyboard, select this one, select the next one, select the next one. And then when I change the color, it changes the color for everything. So let's use a brown. Okay. Now, that takes us to the next section, which is our main coffee. So let's use that on Splash plugin again. But now we're going to let's reduce the triangle a bit. That's something we're trying to achieve. Let's reduce it a bit. Then duplicate it. This one will be for where the pricing will be. So let me delete all these other ones. And do one. Then when I do one, I can now duplicate it to do others. So first of all, let's make this white. So yourself means I can just type FF the code, and it turns it white. And then I can now add a stroke to it if I want to. And let's leave out the stroke. So to remove it, you just click on the remove icon here and you remove it. So let's type now. So let's say this is ice coffee. Let me change the color to black. I put it by the side. I type in the price. Let's say $20. Now this is where hierarchy comes in. So this $20, you can now make it bold. Make it bold and increase the size. Yes. And then we're now going to have a button add to cart. So we're going to draw another rectangle rather. Draw a rectangle. Use your eyes, just size it up a bit. If you want, you can make the corner radius totally round if you want. Yeah, I think I like it to be totally round. Let's use it. And then you also need to check in alignment too. You see that Figma helps you with these imaginary lines. As you drag things, you see now it has shown you that it's now aligned. Everything here is now aligned. That's what Figma helps you to do too. Then I can now type add to carts. Reduce it. Reduce the font size. Reduce the font weight. Let me make it regular. Then I put it in here. Then I can make this brown. I can make the color brown. Then make the add to carts white. Because we're adding colors, remember. Then yeah, I think I'm done with it. This is like a basic layout. Okay, one more thing then. Okay, before I put the pictures, I will show you how to. Oh, I've already shown you how to use the Unsplash plugin. So let's say I'm satisfied with what I have. I can now select everything. Now selecting everything so I can copy them. I click on the first one. I hold my shift, click on the second, click on this one, click on this one, and click on the text. So I will now press Ctrl G on my keyboard. So as I press Ctrl G on my keyboard, it groups everything together. So Ctrl G will group it. It will now become one element. Hold on. Ctrl G. So it groups it. You see that there's now one element. So wherever you move one, other things follow. And you can look at your layers panel. You see that you already have a group with everything inside. So I can now duplicate it, Ctrl D, or I drag it, holding my Alt, and drag another one, Now, I click on the box. Now, because it's grouped, if I want to add the picture of the coffee, I have to double click until it selects the box, not the group. So you double click. You see, it has selected that rectangle, as you can see. Always be looking at your layers panel to be showing the elements that are active. Then I click, then I go to Unsplash again. Unsplash. Then I cannot type coffee. So whichever one I like, I just click, puts in the coffee there. I can click on the second one, add another coffee, third one. So for fonts does not have any plugin. Fonts are already in Figma, so you don't need a plugin for that. Let's add another one, then another one. So I think that's done. Then I come down to my icons. I need 4 icons here. So I can now go back to that my Iconify plugin. I have home. I need a home icon. So if I click on home, pops up. I can import. You know, so you see, I can have my home here. Put my home inside. No, I don't need the circles anymore. So add the home icon. Another icon I will need will be cat icon. So I say cat. It pops up several icons for me. Anyone I like, I select. You know, then I put cat here. Another icon I will need to be profile. So let me select this one. I put in the profile icon. So if I'm satisfied with my icons, let's stick with those 3. I now change the color of the rectangle to brown because I want to be consistent with my brand colors. So I can select brown and then I can now make the icons white. You know, and there you have it. So it's not the best, you know, or just want to show you how different a low fidelity and high fidelity looks like. You know, but as soon as you delve deeper into the class, you would see for yourself how to make things visually better and representing. You know, yes, Oluchi auto layout. You know, that's a whole different topic. You know, so you know, most of these things I did here, there are faster ways to do it. You know, there are faster ways to do it. But then there's still more. There are a lot of tools. Like I sitting down here, I don't even know everything, you know, that can be done on Figma. Figma is a very wonderful tool, very sweet tool, you know, for you to. So if you can do your own, you know, if you can sign up, maybe do at least this recording will be available, can be provided to you later, you know, and just do something like this. You know, you can send it to me, I can check it out. So yeah, that's wireframing in a nutshell. See what we have done in 10 to 15 minutes. So you can see what a lot that can be done, you know, with Figma. You know. So yeah, that's it. My oh yes, my socials. So for X, I'll use Figma, you know, because we use Figma over here. That's what you'll be using very soon. And so for X, you can find me in xx.com/Sam create, then LinkedIn. I think someone already dropped the links to my LinkedIn. Just search for, you see me. I think these are my two main social. So that's X. This is LinkedIn. I see some people's hands. Moderator, can we take I don't know if we are behind time. Maybe later they can drop their questions in the group chat. What do you say?
Yes, thank you. If you have any question, we are really should I say behind time?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Are we good to go? Are you done with them?
What else? What else? So I don't think we've taken attendance, have we?
Okay, everybody, I dropped the link for the attendance on the chat. So please do well and fill it and submit. It's also on the group chat. But let me put it here again. Let me put it here again, just for those who didn't see it the first time. Okay, okay. Lebechi has done that already.
All right. So can we pin it? So please, to be nice to, just quickly fill the form so that we can take your.
Let me just add one or two things to before you finish, and we can dismiss them. All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Answer me now.
Hello.
Hello.
Answer me now. Open
from Ghana.
mic.
Hello from
Open your
Ghana.
mic and talk to me.
Hello.
Hi. I am sure you guys'
Hello.
appetite has been
guys.
given
Hello.